To get started on this lesson, you should have downloaded the Lesson 13 folder, and you can double-click on the L13 Start Illustrator file. Now, when you do this, it'll give you a fonts warning saying there's some missing fonts. You may have to click Activate to activate and install those fonts, which will download them from Creative Cloud. Once it's done, we can say Close, and let's go up to File and do a Save As. And let's simply rename this our Birthday Invitation, and put your name on it. We'll say Save and say OK to that options. This lesson is all about using the Appearance panel to change up your artwork. In order to access this, let's zoom into the bottom of your Illustrator file and let's select the bottom of the cake. Go into the Properties panel. Inside of the Appearance section, you can click on the little three dots, and this will open up the Appearance panel. And this will give you full control over exactly what we want to change up with whatever is selected. Notice that when you select it, you also get the stroke and the fill. Plus, if there's any kind of special effects or any grouping done, this is where you can find that as well. So with this panel open, let's see if we can make some edits. Inside of the fill color, let's select it by clicking on it, and let's choose it to be an aqua blue. Additionally, we can change the size of our stroke by clicking on this. Let's bring it down to be a 1-point stroke. Or if we want to get rid of it altogether, we can set it to be 0 and it'll get rid of it. One of the more powerful things you can do with the Appearance panel is actually have multiple strokes and multiple fill objects to it. With it selected, to add another fill layer, we can click on New Fill. Notice that it applies the fill on top of here. Let's turn off visibility for that one, and let's work with the original fill. Clicking on the down arrow, we can add the little 6-line stroke to it, and this will add a pattern to it. That pattern is here, and this fill is on top of it. Now, if you're following along with the book, later on we're going to swap up the order of everything. The other thing you can do is to turn on and off any kind of filters that you've or effects that you've applied to it. You can turn off the visibility here, or with it selected, you can hit the trash can and get rid of it altogether. This especially comes in handy when working on text. Go up and select the Birthday Bash text, and you can see that it's nothing but type characters. If we wanted to apply a pattern to this, we can add a new fill color. From here, you can see it adds a default of black, and let's add the little dots on top of it. Additionally, with the fill selected, we can open up the options and change up the opacity of it, dropping down the opacity to be about 40%. When you click away, you can see how it's applied. Let's have multiple strokes to this. With the first stroke selected, we'll have a white stroke. So selecting it to make it white, add 1 point. And then let's add another stroke on top of it. And this other one is going to be the red outline to it. Now, obviously, we can't see that stroke. So to change the stacking order of it, we're going to click on this topmost red stroke and drag down till it's below the characters. And now we can see that. Let's do the same down here. Select the base of your cake. We want to see the stroke of the lines, so let's choose the aqua one and put it behind there, and now we can see that really nicely. Now, when working with special effects, there's two different categories of effects. There's Illustrator and Photoshop effects. These Illustrator effects will affect just the vectors of the object you have, and the Photoshop effects work like in Photoshop and allow you to add rasterized effects. Let's select the base of the cake as well as the little top to it and its drop shadow. We're going to group all of these together. We're going to go into Object and Group. And with them grouped, let's add an effect to it. You can also find the effects at the bottom of the Appearance panel. And we want to do the Stylized Drop Shadow. Notice that this will give you a default pop-up, and we can type in the effects for it. We're going to keep it at Multiply, set the opacity to be 20%, the offset of X to be 0, with a Y offset of 0.03, and a blur also of 0.03. If you got preview turned on, you can see the effect take place, and we can say OK to it. Once we've added an effect to one area, you can actually select other things. So I'm going to select our Birthday Bash, choose the white outline. Then when you go up to the effect from the drop-down menu, you can apply that last drop shadow to it. Automatically it's applied, and it's only applied to the drop shadow for the stroke. Now I can't really see it very well, so let's click on the word drop shadow to open up the effects for it. Let's change the opacity of this one to be 40%. We'll keep the X and Y offset to be 0.01 for each. And we'll change the amount of blur to be 0.02. And say OK. Now we can see the drop shadow applying only to the little stroke. With the text still selected, let's go to our effects, and we're going to just select all of the text, not just the stroke itself, but we want the entire type selected. One of the effects that we can do is a warp effect, and let's apply a arc upper effect. From here, we can dial it in to be about 15%, and we'll keep it at 0 and 0 and say OK. Notice that this applies the effect, and it gives you the ability to edit to the text. Now, if you want to turn off that effect, we can click on the little eyeball for arc upper, and let's grab our type tool and just get rid of the, just the exclamation point, not the H. Then we can always go back and select it again and turn on the effect to see it be applied. Let's play around with the Photoshop effect. Select both of the candles at the very top, go up to Effects, and down to Texture, and we're going to add some grain to it. You may need to zoom in order to see this, so I'm going to hit the Command and plus sign until I can zoom in to see it a little bit better. Let's apply an intensity of 51 and a contrast of 100. We can say OK to that. Some other fun effects that you can apply are the 3D effects. Let's select the very base of our little pedestal by double-clicking and going to isolation mode, and then selecting just the base of it. With that done, we can go up to Effect, down to 3D and Materials, and let's do Extrude and Bevel. Make sure you've got the object selected. Let's set the depth to be 15 points. Let's set the twist with bevel on. There we go. We can set the bevel shape to be step. The width of it is going to be 40%. And just realize that's 15 inches. I meant to say 15 px or pt for 15 points. Now it's looking correct. Going back down here, we'll set the height of this to be 30%. And we'll repeat it just once with an X and Y of 50 for the X, a Y location of 0, and a Z of 0 as well too. And then we'll do the perspective at 160. From here, next you can tell it to have a certain material. Open it up and scroll down until you find the larch wood. With that selected, you can see how it applies it to the base. With that done, we can say OK and close that out. Let's get out of isolation mode to go back to our candle. Going up to the 3 and the 0, notice that the 3 has a little drop shadow applied to it, and this is a graphic style. To find your graphic styles, go up to Window, down to Graphic Styles, and we want to create a new one. Choose the 0 and apply it to there. With this done, let's go up to File and Save. You can turn over work.